Hello, and welcome back to the Bygone Times. I hope you're doing well today. Today we have a trip back to the dinner table of Bygone Times with this collection of silver spoons. Now, despite the name and despite what some of the spoons say, as we'll see, if you were born with one of these in your mouth, you probably didn't have it made in the shade necessarily. So we have several that kind of all fit together. So these are similar. These two have monograms on them. This one's a little fancier. We'll talk about it separately. And this one's a little bit of an outlier. It doesn't really have much, really any in the way of markings on it. And several of them have what could be remnants of an old meal or something. So a little bonus with our silver here today. So these kind of plain spoons with the little divots on the front all have the marking on the back that say solid Alaskan Silver. Now this is where it's a little bit of a misnomer. Despite the name solid Alaskan Silver, it was actually just a marketing term that was used for different flatware in the late 1800s and early 1900s. It's usually nickel silver or German silver, and German silver is a base metal alloy of copper, nickel, and zinc. So that's not even silver at all. So there's usually not even any silver involved in these pieces, which is probably why they're not very tarnished after all these years. So they do, however, have some tie to Alaska, or at least some of them. Often they were kind of souvenir or trade pieces in the Klondike or Alaska Gold Rush area. So people, this wouldn't be much of a souvenir, but people still needed flatware, and maybe they wanted to have some tie back to Alaska, especially if they were there. And so these kind of made, maybe something to take home, something for everyday use. Some remembrance of Alaska. Plus, it was, commerce for the companies that were selling them. These spoons are pretty cheap to buy today. Probably a few dollars, maybe $3 up to $10 or $15 if they're in really great shape. These are in okay shape. They're scratched up. They're not really missing any big hunks of silver, but then there's no silver to be missing. So kind of puts that down. And then we have the monogrammed spoons, which are made from a very similar mold. They have a more rounded edge than the kind of squared off edge for the Alaskan Silver, and they have markings that say both, and this one's pretty gross because it's got that hunk on it. They say Sears and Australian Silver. And so the Australian silver is much like the Alaskan Silver. It's usually nickel silver colored alloy with no actual silver in it. Again, late 1800s and early 1900s, often made for export or sold by large retailers, and hence we get the Sears, Roebuck and Company marking. So likely what happened is Sears bought these as white label products and imported them into the U.S. if they weren't made here, and then sold them in their catalogs. 1890 to 1920, basically, And since they have monograms, they were probably some part of some promotional offer that Sears had going. And again, these are in that probably $5 to $15 range, depending on condition and monogram and your person who was buying it. Okay, and then finally we have the little fancy spoon, and this one's kind of neat. I don't know if this is intended to be a serving spoon or what, but it is. Got some neat carvings slash engravings. So this one actually is silver plated, most likely. It is Rogers AA, which tends to mean extra plating. So it is silver plate with a little extra silver plate. So it's a little higher quality than these. And one of the interesting items on this particular spoon is that it has a date on it. I don't know if we're going to be able to see it here or not. It's right there in that crook. There it is. July 9th of 07. So there's a decent chance. Oh, that actually says patent. So patent of July 9th of 07. I was thinking maybe it was like a baby's birthday or something, but it looks more like that is probably the patent date. But so that kind of gives you an idea, pretty good idea of the time frame that this one was minted, I guess you would say. It was produced. And that's another one that, you know, is going to be not extremely expensive. It probably is, you know, maybe $15 to $20, depending on, again, where you're selling it, the pattern, which I don't know exactly what this pattern is or how desirable it is, but it's kind of pretty. And who might have a desire to have it. Anyway, there we have some early 20th century, perhaps late 19th century silver, in air quotes, spoons with some little bonus food particles on them and a few fancy curly cues here and there. Nothing overly expensive or valuable, but a pretty neat little time capsule of maybe what it was like to sit down to dinner, at least in some circumstances, in the good old bygone times. Thanks for watching.